Hi, boys and girls. We are starting Unit 2 in our books for our reading this week. And we are going to be reading a nice story called A Visit to the Desert. So we're making a switch from learning about family and friends, and now we're going to start hearing about animals, which I know is always really exciting for second graders. Our essential question this week is, how do animals survive? That's a pretty good question. And it asks, read about how animals survive in a desert climate. And a climate includes the weather and the conditions where an animal lives. And you might already know about a desert. It's pretty warm.
Hot and dry. It doesn't rain often.
So we're going to learn about a couple animals and how they survive there through a story about Tim going on a little bit of an adventure with his grandma.
Yeah.
So
and the genre this week is realistic fiction. Fiction means it's fake, it's a make-believe story, but the realistic part means it could happen in real life. There's not going to be like talking animals in this and stuff like fantasy. It's going to be a made-up story that could happen in real life. All right. Tim was looking forward to this vacation. Then his parents told him the family would be visiting Grandma in Nevada. Tim was unhappy. He wanted to be with his friends this summer. Grandma is eager to see you, Mom said. She can't wait to take you on a desert hike.
The next morning, Grandma met them at the airport. Then they drove to the desert. As they hiked, Grandma explained that animals enjoy the open desert space. It gives them the freedom to move from place to place. Tim learned that the animals find ways to adapt to the hot desert weather. He wondered if he could get used to the desert climate.
Wow, Tim said. Look at that. The turtle carries its home on its back. Grandma smiled at Tim's excitement. Actually, she said, that is a desert tortoise. It looks for the shade made by the shadows of rocks. That's how it cools off. He burrows underground to get away from the heat. The tortoise disappeared into its burrow. Tim leaned over the hole. He could not hear a sound. I'll bet it likes the silence of its burrow, Tim whispered. I think it likes its sense of safety too, Grandma added.
That's the same feeling I get at home, Tim sighed. Just then, a large rabbit hopped by. Grandma explained that the jackrabbit's large ears help it stay cool. These animals are so unlike the animals at home, Tim said. He had forgotten about the desert heat. Some animals stay cool by sleeping during the day. Then they hunt at night, said Grandma. A great horned owl hooted above them. Grandma said it will soon be time for the owl to hunt.
Which means it's time for us to head back, Dad added. Aw, this vacation is going by too fast, Tim said. They asked Tim about the heat. What heat? Tim asked. I feel as fresh and cool as a new flower. I've adapted. Everyone laughed.
I like that story. Pretty cute.
So, adapted, they use that word a few times.
Yeah.
I think it means to get used to a place, right?
It does, yeah. Over time, the animals have to get used to living in the desert, which is why those jackrabbits have to have really long ears in order to survive there. It keeps them cool. It's why a tortoise has to have a shell, and why some animals have to hunt at night and sleep during the day. So yeah, they adapt to the climate, those weather conditions that they live in order to survive there. That's really cool. Let's take a look at the worksheet that goes along with the story for this week.
Here we are. All right, so we already watched the video, and our essential question this week, like we said earlier, is how do animals survive? So we gave you 3 ways that our animals can survive or adapt to the hot heat of a desert. So let's review some of those ways, and maybe we can either write one down or have them choose one and write it down?
Yeah, they can choose one from the story, and even if they know about one from their own experiences, they could write it down. But if they wanted, we can go back to that jackrabbit again. And we could write that a jackrabbit survives by having really large ears that keep it cool.
So the heat escapes from the ears, and that's what the large ears have to do to make it cool.
Yeah, and I think, not in this story, but one that we're going to learn about, there's another animal that uses its ears to stay cool.
Ooh,
So they'll have to keep listening this week to find out about another
Yes.
one. Yeah, they also talk about that tortoise. The tortoise has its shell on its back, but it also protects it from the heat.
Yes.
And it gives it a safe place to live and
Yes.
be protected.
And it burrows underground to get
Uh-huh.
extra cool.
Yep, because it's so hot above
Yeah.
the ground.
And then the last one was that some of the animals, like the owl, sleep during the day and hunt at night because it's way hotter in the daytime when the sun is shining than it is during the nighttime. So they do all their active stuff during the nighttime when it's less hot.
Definitely.
Okay, so you guys can choose any one of those that you want and write it down here, or one of your own if you thought of one that we didn't mention.
And then our comprehension strategy, which is what's going on in our brains while we're reading, the strategy is to make, confirm, and revise predictions. And today I just want to focus on this word prediction. A prediction is something that you think about the story. It's not always in the text, it's not always going to be something that you read, but it's something that you think might happen next, or how you think a character might feel, or what they might do. So I want to know, and you can't be wrong, how do you think Tim felt at the end of the story?
I know it was different than the way he felt at the beginning.
Yeah, he definitely felt different at the beginning of his trip with Grandma than he did at the end. But I want to know from the students how they think he felt, given some of the clues in the story.
Yes, great.
All right.
And then finally, you're going to draw a picture of an animal that lives in the desert. So you could choose an animal that we talked about in our story, an owl, a jackrabbit, a desert tortoise, or maybe something like a lizard or a rattlesnake or some other kind of animal that you know lives in the desert, but we didn't talk about it. Yeah, so that's it for today. Pretty easy.
And I can't wait to see their nice, colorful drawings.